winter's breath lingered on the valley of Aragon, its chill creeping through the stones of San Verano Castle. The Duke of Aragon, Don Alejandro de Alarcón, stood upon the battlements, his black cloak snapping in the bitter wind, his eyes fixed on the distant mountains that marked the frontier of rebellion. His voice, when he finally spoke, was low, measured, as though carved from the same granite walls upon which he stood. "Your fate is sealed with my bloodline," he murmured, words meant for none but the woman at his side. "The vow is made. There is no turning back." At his side stood Emilia Vargas, daughter of a fallen merchant house, her hands hidden in the folds of her wool cloak, her face pale against the gray skies. She bowed her head, hiding the defiance that flared in her eyes. "My lord," she whispered, her voice trembling but not with devotion, "I hear your words." What he could not see, what no one could yet fathom, was that her heart belonged not to the stone halls of San Verano, nor to the iron promise of the Duke's vow. It beat for something wilder, freer, the rebellion that smoldered in secret across the land. The Duke's council had pressed him into this union, reminding him of the fragile alliances that held Aragon together. Emilia's bloodline, though fallen from wealth, carried old merchant ties, influence among the common folk, the loyalty of those who despised noble excess. In her veins lay the key to pacifying the restless city below. But Alejandro was not a man to be ruled by politics alone. He was a man of fire beneath the armor of duty. The moment he first laid eyes upon Emilia, in the candlelit chapel where vows were sworn, he had been struck by something fierce, something dangerous in her gaze. Her beauty was not delicate like the noble ladies of Valencia or Toledo. It was sharp, defiant, alive with secrets. And so he had taken her hand in the sight of God and declared before heaven and earth, "Your fate is sealed with my bloodline." The words echoed still, haunting Emilia through every corridor of the castle. For each time he claimed her with that vow, her heart whispered another truth. "No, my lord. My fate is my own." She wandered that evening through the lower halls, where torches hissed against the damp. Servants whispered as she passed. They bowed, yet their eyes lingered, not with reverence but with hope. For Emilia had been raised among them, before her family's fortune collapsed. She knew their hunger, their rage. And they, in turn, knew she had not forgotten them. In the kitchens, a boy pressed a folded scrap of parchment into her palm, pretending to hand her a cup of warm wine. She slipped it into her sleeve without breaking stride. Later, alone in her chamber, she lit a single candle and unfolded the message. "The fire spreads. Soon the bells will ring. Do not forget where you belong." Her breath caught. The rebellion was nearer than she had believed. And she, Duchess of Aragon now, though chained by duty, was meant to play her part. Yet when Alejandro entered her chamber that night, cloak still heavy with snow, eyes burning with the dark certainty of a man who always claimed what he desired, she faltered. He approached slowly, as if savoring the silence that stretched between them. "You fear me," he said quietly, studying her face. "I do not," she answered, too quickly. He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek, his touch both tender and possessive. "You should not. I am not your enemy, Emilia. I swore to protect you. Even from yourself." Her lips parted, words trembling on her tongue, but she swallowed them. He kissed her then, deep, commanding, leaving her breathless, torn between fire and fury. In that kiss, she tasted both her prison and her peril. For the Duke did not know that with every heartbeat, Emilia's loyalty slipped further from his grasp. The castle thrummed with unease. Messengers rode in at dusk, bringing news of villages in open defiance. The banners of rebellion, crimson cloth slashed with black, appeared on tavern walls, on church doors, even upon the gates of Zaragoza. The Duke's council demanded harsher measures. "Hang them," sneered Lord Ramirez, his eyes cold as steel. "Let the traitors bleed in the squares. Fear will silence their tongues." Alejandro's gaze, however, drifted to Emilia, seated silently at the end of the long oak table. In the flicker of firelight, she looked like a saint carved from marble, serene, untouchable. Yet he sensed the storm beneath her stillness. "What say you, my lady?" he asked suddenly, silencing the room. Emilia raised her eyes, her voice steady. "Blood does not quell hunger, my lord. It feeds it. To hang them will only ignite the fire." Gasps broke around the table. A duchess defending rebels? Dangerous. Foolish. Bold. But Alejandro only leaned forward, his lips curling faintly. "You would have me offer mercy to those who plot against us?" "I would have you listen to the people you claim to rule," she replied, her tone sharp as steel beneath velvet. Later, when the chamber was empty, Alejandro caught her arm as she tried to pass him. "Do you think me blind?" he demanded. His voice was low, but it burned hotter than the hearth. "Do you think I do not see where your loyalties lie?" Her breath trembled, But she met his gaze. My loyalties are to justice.
To the people. To the rebels, he hissed. To the truth, she fired back.
He released her with a growl, pacing the chamber like a lion in chains.
You are mine, Emilia. Do you understand? Your fate
is sealed with your bloodline, she finished bitterly.
Yes, I have heard.
A vow that binds me in body, not in soul. Her defiance cut deeper than any blade. He froze, staring at her, torn between fury and a desire so fierce it was its own form of torment. That night, as he lay beside her, her body stiff against his, Alejandro dreamed of flames consuming his castle, of bells tolling rebellion. And when he woke, Emilia's side of the bed was cold. She had gone to the chapel. Kneeling before the altar, candlelight dancing upon her face, she whispered her true vow into the silence. I belong not to stone walls nor iron vows. My heart beats for freedom. And when the bells ring, I will rise. Unseen in the shadows, Brother Matteo, the castle's confessor, listened. His breath was sharp with fear. For Emilia had revealed herself, and secrets whispered to God did not always remain in heaven. The rebellion struck sooner than expected. Bells pealed through Zaragoza at dawn, their clamor echoing across the hills. Peasants stormed the granaries, soldiers deserted their posts, and fire rose against the gray skies. Within San Verano, chaos erupted. Servants fled, guards turned their blades upon one another, and the Duke's council screamed for blood. Alejandro donned his armor, his black cloak flowing like a shadow as he mounted the battlements. Hold the gates, he thundered, his voice carrying over the din. This is Aragon's heart, let none defile it. Emilia stood behind him, pale but unyielding, her eyes fixed on the crimson banners rising in the valley below.
Her pulse quickened.
Among those banners rode the man who had once been her first love, Diego Serrano, a rebel captain with fire in his veins and her name still burning on his tongue. And in that instant, Alejandro saw the truth in her gaze. She was not merely sympathetic. She was bound to them.
To him.
His oath turned to ash in his mouth. The siege began before nightfall. Arrows blackened the sky, flames licked the walls, and the cries of the wounded echoed through the stone corridors of San Verano. Alejandro fought like a man possessed. Sword flashing, armor bloodied, he held the gate with a fury that sent rebels reeling. Yet with every swing of his blade, one truth hammered in his chest: the woman for whom he bled did not stand with him. Within the great hall, Emilia moved like a ghost among the chaos. She smuggled food to the servants, whispered orders to those who knew the secret signs of the rebellion, and when the moment came, she slipped into the courtyard where Diego awaited. Emilia, he breathed, his hand reaching for hers. I knew you would not betray us.
Tears burned her eyes. I am here. But the Duke will fall, Diego vowed.
Tonight, Aragon will be free. But fate is never so simple. Alejandro appeared at the archway, sword dripping crimson, his cloak torn, his eyes dark with betrayal and longing. So it is true, he said hoarsely. My vow was spoken to a heart that never belonged to me.
Emilia's lips trembled. Alejandro.
He raised his sword not toward her but toward Diego.
Leave her, rebel.
Or by my bloodline, I will see you buried beneath these stones. Diego drew his blade, fire meeting fire. The clash rang through the courtyard, steel sparking in the night. Emilia screamed, torn between them, the weight of her choices crashing down like thunder. At last, Alejandro's sword found Diego's heart. The rebel fell, gasping, his blood dark upon the stones. His final words were for Emilia. Be free for both of us. She collapsed beside him, sobbing. Alejandro stood above them, chest heaving, torn between triumph and ruin. Do you see now? He whispered, his voice raw. Your fate is sealed with my bloodline, Emilia. Even rebellion cannot tear it away. But as she rose, her face streaked with tears, she looked upon him not with devotion, but with a grief so deep it shattered him. You have won nothing, she said. For my heart has rebelled, and it will never be yours. The bells tolled again, louder, nearer. The castle walls shuddered. The rebellion surged within, unstoppable. Alejandro turned, blade ready, but Emilia stepped back into the shadows, her cloak merging with the fleeing crowd. For the first time, he understood, vows forged in blood and stone could bind the body, but never the soul. And as fire consumed San Verano Castle, the Duke of Aragon fell to his knees upon the stones, his vow echoing in the ruins. Your fate is sealed with my bloodline. But the night carried her rebellion far beyond his reach.